Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Bintang Bisiri Putra, and today I would like to present to you my study about medical student perception towards euthanasia practice and their understanding about the conflict of ethics in the subject. So for the introduction, I would like to explain to you what is euthanasia. So euthanasia is the painless killing of a patient suffering from an incurable and painful disease or in an irreversible coma, and this practice is mostly legal in most countries. But many countries have legalized assisted suicide or euthanasia, such as Belgium, Canada, New Zealand, Spain, and some other European countries. And currently, there are many debates and arguments that support and against euthanasia. Euthanasia or assisted suicide has raised many concerns in our society because it deals with patient's life. And in medical point of view, there are one ethical conflict between the principles of autonomy and non-maleficence. Autonomy means the right of patients to practice self-determination and choose actions that they deem best for themselves. And non-maleficence means the act of doing no harm, according to Gordon, Roberts, and Folman in 2009. And there have been many arguments and debates regarding this subject, and it divides into scientific and unscientific public view. For example, James Rachel, in his book The Elements of Moral Philosophy, suggested that euthanasia may be morally right. His argument was the morally right thing to do on any occasion is whatever would bring about the greatest balance of happiness over unhappiness. On at least some occasion, the greatest balance of happiness over unhappiness may be brought by mercy killing, or as we call it, euthanasia. Therefore, on at least some occasion, mercy killing or euthanasia may be morally right. But then there are other arguments, which is anti-euthanasia argument. And the argument is from the practical view, there is no way of properly regulating euthanasia. And legalizing euthanasia will prompt less care given by the physician or doctor. And legalizing euthanasia contradicts the commitment of a doctor, which is saving lives, because euthanasia may be chosen way for many patients with poor economy, because it will become the most cost-effective action by the physician. And for literature review, I choose two sources. The first one is a journal titled Attitudes Toward Euthanasia and Related Issues Among Physicians and Patients in Multicultural Society of Malaysia by Yusuf Rator et al. In 2014. And the second source is the journal called The Different Perspective of Preclinical and Clinical Medical Students Toward Euthanasia at Universitas Katolik Widya Mandala Surabaya by Desinta and Erminda in 2017. And Yusuf Rater et al. In 2014 found that religious beliefs might affect personal views toward euthanasia or physician-assisted suicide. And in his research, he found out that religious individuals choose to be against euthanasia practice more than those individuals who do not consider themselves religious. And Desinta and Erminda in 2017 found that clinical medical students will more likely to be in favor of euthanasia practice compared to those who are still in preclinical medical student. And they found out that emotional factor and personal experience may influence medical student views toward euthanasia. And for the research method, qualitative method is used in the study with 6 instruments and 3 participants from batch 2019, 2020, and 2021. The first question is to test the understanding about the participants' understanding about medical ethic principle. And the second and third question is about their understandings about the medical ethic conflict in this subject, which is autonomy and non-maleficence. And for question number 4 is to test their understanding about the meaning of euthanasia. And for question number 5, I asked about their view toward euthanasia based or according to their understanding about medical ethic principles. And the sixth questions is about asking their attitudes toward euthanasia personally. And for the findings, I found that there are 5 major findings. So participant number 1 interpret non-maleficence or do no harm as we shall not harm the patient, and all act by the doctor must be intended to cure the patient, making participant number one think that euthanasia is unethical because killing the patient is not curing the patient. Participant number two interpret non-maleficence or do no harm as that all action by the doctor should not be intended to harm the patient, making participant number two think that euthanasia may be ethical, since killing the patient to end their suffering is not harming the patient. Participant number three interpret euthanasia as as ending patient's life intentionally, but then proceed to give an example of euthanasia as abortion, which is not the form of euthanasia. And based on the major finding number one and two, different interpretation about medical ethic principle of non-maleficence can influence participant views toward euthanasia. And based on the major finding number three, wrong interpretation of euthanasia can also cause participant view to be clouded. For the conclusion, so in this study, we found that there are different interpretation of medical ethic principle and euthanasia from medical students that are participating in this study. And those different interpretation regarding those medical ethic principle and euthanasia may influence and cloud participant views about whether euthanasia can be ethical or not. For the implication, we can implicate that medical student correct understanding about medical ethic principles and euthanasia interpretation is critical, since euthanasia and many ethical debate is happening right now in the world, and those debate may come to Indonesia. And it can be concerning if their understanding is not correct, since they will become future doctors and they must rely on medical ethic principles to guide their action and relationship with the patient. And it is recommended for further studies to study on a bigger scale, but from the same medical student batch, and also focus on the understanding of medical student about medical ethic principle. Those two things will enable the study to sum up the whole batch understanding about medical ethic principles and find out what is the factor that causing the different interpretation. Thus, the data may be used to find solution to correct medical student understanding regarding medical ethic principles, as it will use to guide them for becoming future doctors. That's all from my study. Thank you, everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.